Close your eyes and imagine a world where kings ruled by divine right, knights swore oaths under torchlight, and peasants toiled beneath towering castles. A world where the church held more power than kings, where plagues shaped destiny, and where every village whispered legends of dragons and saints. What do you see? This was medieval Europe, 1,000 years of transformation, conflict, and rebirth. From the ashes of the Roman Empire to the dawn of the Renaissance, it was an age of both faith and fear, of blood and brilliance. Let's journey back through the millennium that forged modern Europe. 1. The fall of Rome and the dawn of the Dark Ages, 5th to 8th century. The story begins in 476 AD, when the once mighty Roman Empire finally fell. The eternal city of Rome, the symbol of power, law, and civilization, crumbled under the weight of invasions and corruption. Germanic tribes, the Goths, Vandals, and Franks, swept across Europe, carving their own kingdoms from the ruins. With Rome gone, order vanished. Roads decayed, trade collapsed, and literacy dwindled. The flame of classical knowledge flickered dangerously low. Historians would later call this the Dark Ages, not because life stopped, but because the light of reason dimmed. Yet even in darkness, seeds of rebirth were planted. In the forests of Gaul, the Franks, led by Clovis, founded a new kingdom and converted to Christianity. The Church, now the only organized institution left, became both guardian of knowledge and the moral compass of Europe. Monks in monasteries copied ancient texts, preserving fragments of wisdom for the centuries to come. 2. The rise of the Church and the Carolingian Empire, 8th to 10th century. As chaos spread, one institution remained unshaken, the Christian Church. It became Europe's greatest power, offering hope in a time of despair. Priests guided kings, and popes crowned emperors. Then came Charlemagne, the greatest king of the early Middle Ages. Crowned Emperor of the Romans by Pope Leo III in 800 AD, he dreamed of restoring the glory of Rome. Under his rule, education flourished again, Latin learning revived, and the Carolingian Renaissance dawned. Charlemagne's empire stretched across modern France, Germany, and Italy. Yet after his death, it split among his heirs, paving the way for feudalism, the system that would define medieval life for centuries. 3. Feudalism, lords, vassals, and peasants, 10th to 12th century. Imagine Europe as a vast pyramid of loyalty and land. At the top stood kings, below them nobles, and below them knights sworn to protect. At the base were the peasants, bound to the soil, working fields they didn't own. This was feudalism, a web of promises and protection. In exchange for military service, lords granted knights parcels of land called fiefs. The knights, in turn, swore loyalty, or fealty, to their lords. Castles rose across the landscape, both fortresses and homes. Knights trained for battle, guided by the code of chivalry, courage, loyalty, and honor. Peasants, meanwhile, endured endless labor, paying taxes to both their lord and the church. Life was hard, short, and uncertain. But amid the struggle, community bound people together. Every festival, every prayer, every harvest was a reminder that faith was their anchor in a fragile world. 4. The Crusades, holy wars and cultural exchange, 11th to 13th century. In 1095, Pope Urban II stood before a crowd and called on Christians to reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim control. His words ignited the Crusades, a series of holy wars that would last nearly 200 years. Knights, nobles, and peasants alike marched eastward, driven by faith, glory, and sometimes greed. While the Crusades brought bloodshed, they also reopened Europe to the wider world. Returning crusaders brought with them spices, silk, mathematics, medicine, and philosophy from the Islamic world. Trade routes expanded, cities grew, and knowledge once thought lost returned. The Crusades, for all their tragedy, reconnected Europe with the East, and with progress. 5. The Age of Castles, Knights, and Chivalry, 12th to 14th century. This was the golden age of medieval romance, when castles dotted the hills, troubadours sang of love, and the legends of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table captured imaginations. Knighthood became an ideal, not just a duty. Young squires dreamed of earning their spurs, while noble women embroidered banners and awaited their champions. But the world was changing. As trade flourished, towns and guilds began to challenge feudal order. Merchants gained wealth. Knowledge spread through newly founded universities in Bologna, Paris, and Oxford. A new class, the middle class, began to rise. The medieval dream of unity under faith was beginning to crack. 6. The Black Death and the 100 Years' War, 14th to 15th century. Then came the plague. In 1347, the Black Death swept across Europe like a dark wind. Carried by fleas on rats, it decimated cities and villages. Within a few years, over 1/3 of Europe's population perished. Entire towns vanished. The church's promises of salvation faltered as priests fell alongside peasants. But death reshaped society. With fewer workers, peasants demanded better conditions. Feudalism began to crumble. At the same time, war raged between England and France, the 100 Years' War. Heroes like Joan of Arc emerged, claiming divine visions and inspiring armies. New weapons like the longbow and gunpowder ended the age of knights and castles. By the time the war ended, Europe was no longer the same. 7. The dawn of the Renaissance, the end of the Middle Ages. By the 15th century, a new light began to shine, the Renaissance. Scholars rediscovered the wisdom of Greece and Rome. Artists like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo looked to nature and human beauty for inspiration. The invention of the printing press by Gutenberg spread knowledge faster than ever before. Kings consolidated power into nations, England, France, Spain, and exploration beckoned beyond the horizon. The medieval world, once ruled by faith and feudal bonds, was giving way to the modern era. The 1,000-year chapter of medieval Europe closed, not with silence, but with the roar of new beginnings. The Middle Ages were not just a time of darkness and disease, they were a bridge. Out of chaos came kingdoms, out of superstition came science, and out of devotion came art that still inspires us today. Every cathedral, every manuscript, every melody of a lute carries the whisper of that millennium, the age that built the foundation of modern Europe. So the next time you walk through a stone castle or gaze upon stained glass, remember, it's not just history. It's the story of resilience, faith, and human rebirth.